Hello, everybody. This is a special Alley of Dunks episode just before the Final Four, and today we are looking at the All Euroleague teams. Let's go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs. Then you can
Different
see
story.
different selection,
Yeah.
different story, different selection then of players here. However, Tavares, that was in the EuroLeague, gave him the second at the spot on the second All EuroLeague team. That was mainly because of his playoffs, right? He also had a good season, but especially playoffs, he was very dominant, back to his old self. And if we remember, that's a continuation of last year when things got tough at the Partizan series. He actually stepped up and he was amazing. So again, this year, great performance from Tavares.
Yeah.
And that's our starting set.
Yeah, he just stepped up his game from regular season to playoffs, and showed how influential he is on the game. You know, sometimes he does not. Sometimes you may see Tavares scoring just 8 points, for example. But on the other hand, you might see that he grabs 11, 12, 15 rebounds, and that shows his impact. Also blocks as well.
And I think we had discussed this before. It's not just the blocks of Tavares; it is the thought of the opponent, or the risk that the opponent will get a block from Tavares that actually prevent them to drive in the paint. His defense is not always down on the numbers. It's very difficult to see it. Maybe it would be some advanced statistics that can tell us that when Tavares is on the floor, do you have way less drives in the basket? I think potentially yes. So yeah, his appearance there changed the whole mentality for his team and for the opponents.
Yeah.
Oh, we had that system before, right? But we think there was another center that also was on the top level. To be honest, we thought there were more centers on the top level, but I don't know. I think 2 centers is the most we can have, right?
Yeah.
So there is Lefort again on the first team. If it wasn't for him missing every free throw like Sack, actually, I think is a good example. It was like Sack; he was unstoppable, and the only way was to foul him. We've seen also in the last game, the crucial game 5, that Katas was tried also to most situations stop him from shooting by just foul him. So hack a Sack.
Matthias.
But so imagine he was missing so many free throws and still he's here. That tells a lot about his performance and his dominance. And again, I think Panathinaikos without him potentially can't succeed. So he's a very, very important player in the team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, without, as you said it, without Lesor, I believe also Panathinaikos will not have advanced to the Final Four.
So let's go then to the forward position. We have a lot of selections here. As you can see, we have even Piperovic on the right end of the screen, that he had some very, very good games, especially from game 3 and onwards. You have players that did step up, but their teams lost heavily. So that's both of Baskonia players, Marinkovic and Rogavopoulos. Good playoffs from them.
But you see also some, as I see now the players, but you see also some X factors. For example, McKissick, especially in the first games when Papanikolaou was absent due to illness, he stepped up big time. Also with Papapetru, the beginning, Grigonis had some issues guarding Colson, but then Papapetru just stepped up. And you see some really X factors. And as I mentioned, Papa Nicolau, when he came back, he just played 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. But these 2 games gave that extra to the team. So
since you talked about Olympiacos, I think Petrusev had a very good series, and McKissick also was very important, especially in the last games. And then thinking about all of these players and what they did, Parker also great playoffs, but he lost. Yeah. So thinking about all of that, Diallo was one of the main reasons we didn't see Hayes Davis doing great. And not just his, it was more of a team thing. It was Blossom game with Brown, but Diallo also had a big part of that. So we've seen all that, and we decided to go for a dribble, break ankles, and go for a non-functional system. So we'll never have a system this if we were the coach, but we're talking about the best 5, right? So we're talking about the best 5 and not the best team. So if we were to build the best team, we wouldn't get these players. So just to be, clear. So we're going in the cards, and as you can see, there is a lot of power, a lot of selections here. Players that had crazy good playoffs.
Yeah, and you see also some, legends. Sergio Rodriguez, for example, he just the name speaks for itself. Calafis as well. Some big names, but let's see.
Exactly. Sergio is one of the players that will just be activated when there is a big game. His playoffs, his Final Four, he's there. All right, first player then, Kendrick Nunn, another rookie. He was unstoppable, and when the ball was very heavy, he was there to just lift the team on his shoulders and go through game 5. If I remember correct, he was the first scorer, and he was just keep scoring, not missing 3-pointer. Really great performance. In the regular season, he had a lot of problem with distributing the ball, so quite a lot of his passes resulting into costly turnovers. But then in the playoffs, he was a different machine. He limited that, and he just focused on scoring, and that made a difference. Great series from Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, I agree. Huge role for what Bill said. It was of course, Lucas, as we said earlier about him. So his presence allowed Kendrick Nunn to just focus on scoring and just not create for his teammates. But yeah, he didn't start with the best of the games in the series versus Maccabi, but after that, he just stepped up his game and just exploded.
So let's go to the next one. You just mentioned him, and is the other guard from Panathinaikos, Lucas. He is the playoffs Lucas. He also broke his own record, the personal record, in different games. In one game for assists, in the first game, game 1. In the other game, it was rebounds, and in the other game, I think it was 29 points, if I remember correct. His personal record on points as well. He really helped the team to get to the Final Four. I think
he's the number 1 in assist in the playoffs.
As well?
As well. It was Sergio Rodriguez and now it's Lucas, number 1. That's why I asked you about points for assists, because for assists I know definitely it was something like 190 and Sergio has 189, something like that. But I know Lucas is now the number 1 in assist for playoffs.
We're all waiting for that big duo guard fight between Panathinaikos and Maccabi, Baldwin Brown versus Slugas, and Nunn unfortunately On game one, Baldwin got injured, so we didn't get to see that. So the win goes to the Pau guard, but things could have also been different.
I was so looking forward Baldwin versus Kendrick Nunn with Baldwin versus Kendrick Nunn, but yeah, unfortunately with Baldwin injured. But it is one of the great battles to watch, on the court, of course.
And let's go for the final member of the All playoff team, and that's no other than Nick Kalathis. He guided the team to the playoffs. He was the guy with experience.
There was some rumors
40%.
that he cannot score. Yeah, but he can score some 3-pointers.
Well, let's put things in perspective. On that game 5, he had 1 out of 8 3-pointers. But then he made the 2 ones that counted to give the win to Fener and advance to the Final Four. It's not just the offense, and not just the fact that he finished with 50% on 2 points and 40% on 3 points. Amazing stats. And also he was distributing the ball, he was getting the rebounds, he was stealing the ball. He was on James constantly. We said that the MVP is James of the regular season. In my opinion, the MVP of the playoffs is Kalathis, because he was doing top work on both ends, defense and offense. Amazing performance by Kalathis to return on the Final Four.
I agree.
Finally,
He was, as you said, it's not just scoring, the crucial 3-pointers or the crucial baskets. It was that he had the most difficult task from all the Fenerbahce players, and that is guarding Mike James. So if for example, Monaco won the 3rd game in Istanbul versus Fenerbahce, and when did this happen? When they played ISO, and then it was Mike versus Goodrich. That's how he did the step back 3, and then Monaco won. But the whole time when Kalathis was guarding Mike James, he couldn't breathe. You can just feel that.
Yeah. And he obviously felt sometimes annoyed, like, why didn't I get a foul? It was obviously most of these clean defenses, but yeah, it was great to watch that. It wasn't the greatest matchup, Fener and Monaco, in terms of quality of, or let's say maybe not quality, but in terms of how good was to the eye. But that specific battle was great.
Yeah.
And then coach. Who is the coach of the playoffs? Here are the 8 coaches. We both agreed quite easily that Sarah should be the one. But the whole thing, he came into a team and got Kalathis that was probably going to leave the team, or he was, let's say last summer, if we remember, Kalathis was not in the plans of the team. He got back into some old players that he had issues with them parting ways in Barcelona, as Davis and Kalathis, but he managed to bridge the gap. He managed to have an amazing season for Fener and actually get them to the playoffs. Even though he wasn't the one who built the team, he coached it amazingly. And if we think about that specific series in the playoffs, because that's why we give him, he had to win twice in Monaco, and they delivered.
Yeah.
Everything though is down to very, to details, because if Okobo was not the one who was dominating the ball in the last minutes of the regular season, or even of the regular time, or in the overtime of Game 5, and he was the most clutch player of the team, like James, maybe the whole story would be different. And then instead of Saras here would be another wing coach, but we'll keep him for the second team.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Saras came and, if it was not for Raul Neto, injury, probably Calates would have been playing for another team this, regular season. But, the Raul Neto injury happened, unfortunately. Then Saras came, and as you said, he managed to get the best out of Hayes Davis and Calates. So he just gave this extra motivation to both of them, and just give the the organization on the court to Calates, and just said, okay, lead us in a way, because he has the experience, of course, Nick Calates.
Yeah. Let's go then to the all playoff second team. That's the remaining centers. Again, potentially this is the easiest selection we had up to now for any position, for any of the three teams we made. Obviously, this is Nibo. He was sensational. He was unstoppable on some of the games. I think it was especially, was it Game 3? Yeah, I think Game 3 when Maccabi won.
In Belgrade.
So,
yeah.
In Belgrade, I think so. In any case, great season, both regular and playoffs from Nibo. As you can see, he is our center in both second teams. And then let's go to the forwards. And that is Yabusele there, getting the position straight away. He had a very, very good playoffs in a playoff series that Real just won 3-0, and they're actually going more fresh in the Final Four.
In the last game versus, before we go to Jabari Parker, in the last game, the third game versus Baskonia, I think he scored, like when Baskonia came close, I think it was 3 points. Then he scored 5 points in a row. One, first, the basket, and then a 3-pointer from the corner, and just gave another boost to the team. Just like that, the difference went up to 8 points again. So that's how valuable Yabusele is for Real Madrid.
And he's very dominant, with his size and his explosiveness. It's very, very difficult for opponents to really stop him when he gets on. And then Parker. That's a Parker we all love to see. We all love a good comeback story.
Number one pick in the NBA.
Yeah, very good series from Parker. He managed to lift the Barcelona team in many situations. He was scoring through different ways, spot shooting from outside or driving the basket. Very, very good series from Parker. Yeah, they didn't make it, but they were playing against a very well-coached team, well-oiled machine, let's say.
Yeah. Jabari Parker to me is the perfect example of, as they say in the US, for regular season and NBA playoff start, step up the game. He stepped up his game from regular season to playoffs, and he said, okay, now you will see different mode. Now you will see different Jabari Parker, and he just did that for Barcelona.
Interesting. Let's see if next season Jabari Parker manages to have this kind of level of play the whole time from regular season. It is possible. Let's see. It will be interesting.
It's true what you said, because he renewed his contract as well.
Exactly. So let's go to guards then. 2 positions remain for 2 guards, and the first one goes to. Let's see, quite a lot of selections, as you can see. There was one guy that he really, really stepped up. I don't know if I have him. Yes. was one guy that really stepped up on the playoffs. He actually guided the team in the absence of his co-big star, and that gives it all. Lorenzo Brown was amazing in the playoffs.
That's why I said it's different between regular season and playoffs, because he like Lorenzo Brown, he was playing like Lorenzo Brown with Spain in the Eurobasket. He reminded me of this type of player that, I am the guard, I am the dominant guard in the team because, as you said, the absence of Baldwin. So let me guide you now. And he needed to step up, same as Nebo. Both of them stepped up their games in the absence of Baldwin, and the whole team performed.
Yeah, well, I think they were missing a third wheel on this, and probably that was Colson. He could have been better, perhaps.
To me, Colson. Now that's another big debate, but even before I go to the last game, the fifth game, even in the fourth game, you can see a meltdown in Colson's performance. So his performance just dropped. And I don't know if that's the effect of Papa Petru guarding him. Papa Petru is not a great defender, lockdown defender like Diallo is, but he managed to limit Colson's effect on the court.
Yeah. And who do you think is with him? Then we can see many players around. You can have a good, I would say, case for McIntyre, but he was 0-3 on the playoffs. It's not possible. Mike James, if you see his statistics, were okay, but if you watch the games and if you know what type of player he is, maybe the bar is a little bit too high, so it's not him. Howard also 0-3, so even though he was scoring, you can't put him. So it's pretty much obvious there is one player that can be there, and that is Makoto Campazzo. There is not a lot to say. He just delivered. They did the job done, swept Baskonia, and that's it. Easy peasy for them.
That's why he went back to Real Madrid last summer, and that's the greatness of Campazzo. That's his impact. He can have, let's say 5 or 6 games that he doesn't have the numbers that we all expect, but there will be a game that he will step up his game and just deliver what he needs to deliver for Real Madrid to get the W.
And let's go to coaches. As we said, Fener won, so obviously Saras is our first option. But if things were different there, our first option by far would have been Coach Bartzokas. In a team that I would say it doesn't have the same stardom as other teams in the playoffs. He was the main star, the coach, and as you can see in our playoff teams, there is no Olympiacos player in, but they did a great job. They broke 2 times the home court advantage of Barcelona in Spain, so he gets back to the Final Four for the 3rd consecutive time. So playoff second team Bartzokas coach, all well deserved.
Yeah, it's amazing how Coach Bartzokas makes the players believe his system. Just if they just concentrate and give everything to the system that he has, then the whole team will be benefited out of this. Not just individual one player, but the whole team.
Yeah, and that's why you have different heroes every night, pretty much, with them.
Exactly.
Well, then I think that concludes our all EuroLeague teams. Let us know your opinions. I'm pretty sure most people disagree somehow, some way. a lot with some of this. But it's good,
Big
to
debate.
have a nice
Yeah.
conversation.
Exactly. At the end, it's basketball, but it's a big debate. It's a big debate. Even it's a debate among the players themselves, who are the actual heroes and the actual protagonists on the floor. So you can imagine how more of a debate is among fans.
Till then, guys, it's been almost maybe just slightly less of 10 days for the Final Four, so get ready. The big weekend is coming in Berlin, so hopefully some of you manage to be there. For the rest, enjoy from your screens, and we'll speak to all of you next time.
Yeah, guys, see you next time and enjoy the Final Four and enjoy basketball.